There's a very, very short list of world leaders who I'd rather have than Justin Trudeau, Nicolas Maduro, Xi Jinping, who's actually Justin Trudeau's best friend. I don't know if you heard, but Trudeau invited Chinese military to train in Canada. Of course, he can't do anything but just bend over for communists, can he? Fucking guy. He's literally the worst. I don't like to use literally the worst like a fucking 14-year-old girl, but there is no redeeming quality about this fucker. He's got nice hair, but come on now. I'd fucking let it grow out too, and I'd have something like that. But I don't do that because I like girls. So let's just get into this. I wanted to talk more about China, but we got more fun stuff to talk about China tomorrow. But this was going on right now, and we've been super focused on this channel of the United States right now. So let's piss in Trudeau's evening soy latte. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invited troops from China's People's Liberation Army to train in Canada, according to a new bombshell report from Rebel News. The People's Liberation Army, known for such atrocities as the Tiananmen Square massacre, were invited for cold weather training in CFB Petawawa, Ontario. Can you fucking believe it? Okay? At least he wasn't over on my end of the country, but for fuck's sakes, dude. The training communist China's military forces on Canadian soil, pushing the Great Reset. There is nothing redeemable about this fuck. The revelations come from a 34-page access of information document dubbed the China Files and released to Rebel News. The cold weather training was cancelled by the Canadian Armed Forces, which sparked an angry response from Trudeau, who demanded that China's military, or the Canada's they're one and the same, military not cancel any more engagements with the PLA without explicit permission first. Ooh. He'll skate on this too. It doesn't matter who knows this information. He literally will just skate on this. And that the news of the cancellation had to be told to the PLA gently, wrote Rebel News. Why? What does Ping have on you, Trudeau? Why are you so afraid to grow a fucking backbone, huh? You have travel restrictions all over your entire fucking country from province to province. You can't even... I'm pretty sure that the United States border is still closed, but you're inviting in China's Liberation Army to train in Ontario. You know, the place where this pandemic was started. You're inviting people over from there. There are no words. Calendars show that Canada and China kept in diplomatic cahoots even after the arbitrary detention of the two Michaels. I don't know what that means, but fuck it, we'll just go right to the source material. Justin Trudeau invited China's People's Liberation Army to send troops to the cold weather training in CFB Petawawa in Ontario, and Trudeau raged at the Canadian Armed Forces for cancelling the training after China kidnapped citizens Michael Spavor and, Michael Korvig. Okay, that makes more sense. This is only one of many bombshell revelations in the China Files, the 34-page access information document released by the Trudeau government to Rebel News, seen below. Documents that normally would have been completely blacked out by government censors were instead grayed out. The documents remain completely readable. Rebel News has chosen to black out a very small portion of what would otherwise compromise the safety of an individual. How we got these secret documents? Okay. So in April 2019, to commemorate the 70th anniversary of the People's Liberation Army Navy, oh, what a fucking momentous occasion that was. A propaganda exercise held just months after the kidnapping of the two Michaels. Trudeau government delayed replying to Rebel News for 19 months because they aren't a mindless liberal party mouthpiece like the CBC and CTV, so they probably would never ever get any sort of comment from these fucking spineless cocksuckers. Oh boy, they were supposed to come over here and train Chinese commanders at the Canadian Forces College in Toronto, as well as other military facilities in Kingston, Ontario. Chinese military participants included 1 and 2 star generals and the entire contingent who would learn Canadian cold weather military tactics. That is interesting. China has cold weather, but they're also a little hostile to a rather large country to the north, who they would need to fight in the wintertime at some point, so keep that tucked away a little bit. CAF's decision to cancel cold weather training panicked Trudeau, who demanded the Canada's military not cancel any more engagements with the PLA, that which we read in the post-millennial article. Other revelations include disgraced cabinet minister Catherine McKenna jetted to China for 3-day conference just months after the two Michaels were taken hostage. I seem to remember that was perhaps reported, or maybe not. The only thing that is reported about Kathleen McKenna is like she has an acquired taste for canine. Search for that at your own leisure. Trudeau sent nearly 200 Canadian Armed Forces personnel to Wuhan in October of 2019 to participate in the Military World Games. What the fuck? Remember all of those smooth brains that were saying, the Biden team, just for context, saying that, Trump kicked out everybody from Wuhan, but you know what, there were Canadian Armed Forces in Wuhan in late 2019. Holy fuck. A propaganda bonanza for China's diplomatic reports that China is using its Belt and Road negotiations to demand the countries drop the human rights complaints if they want trade deals. That is in reference to the fact that they have their tendrils in literally everything across the entire world. Look no further than what's happening in Australia right now, where they have so much money invested in the docks and in the shipping, in the infrastructure there. And in Canada, it is no fucking different. I'm not too sure if it was when I was engaging in a back and forth with one of the really brilliant commenters that I managed to engage with very early on in my channel, but we were discussing the Belt and Road strategy as well, and I will open this up to you guys as well. Up here in Canada, and especially in Alberta, we rely heavily on the oil and gas industry, of course, and China has a massive investment in one of the largest oil sands producers, and while oil sands is not too much of a big industry in my neck of the woods, it is in the northeastern part of the province, where you have the three big oil sands producers. You have Syncrude, you have Suncor, and whatever the other one is. China has a massive investment in Syncrude. They also own a ton of Vancouver and Toronto. So at the flick of a switch, they could go ahead and cripple our economy even further. Oh goody, now we get to talk about Twitter. We just talked about Facebook, and I alluded to Twitter, but here's more Twitter stuff. So international, the great firewall trolls grows taller. Bureaucrat disciplined for accessing foreign news on Twitter. A disciplinary notice circulated this week on social media, which criticized a deputy programming director of the Shuhao City TV broadcasting organization for having accessed harmful information on illegal websites. That sounds exactly like why they'd take down certain information on YouTube going forward in regards to the election. Sounds great. Yeah, welcome China. Via Twitter, which had seriously violated political discipline and political rules. It gets worse from there. Holy fuck. The notice indicates that the individual would be removed from his post at the broadcaster and have their pay docked. Oh boy, somebody's getting disappeared. It is unclear whether this signals a new trend in monitoring party cadres' online behavior or as a one-off event, but fits into the broader trend of increased monitoring on Twitter by authorities inside the Great Firewall. Beijing GR will continue to monitor Chinese use of the smartphone app to track Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. This is another little point, and I'm glad that they've consolidated into this one article here. Bureaucrats' bizarre protocol of referencing the accused fraudster of Huawei CFOs, Meng Wanzhou as Miss Meng, but refusing to even mention the two Michaels by name, of course. Yeah, so if it doesn't elaborate more on the Uyghur Muslims, so like you guys may or may not be aware of, there's a social crediting score in China where you're born at a certain level and you can work for the government in order to increase that social credit score or have it dropped depending on your actions. Terrific. Now, it doesn't have anything to do explicitly and exclusively with the government. No. If your social credit score drops, you're not allowed to take a taxi. If it drops further than that, you're not allowed to take public transportation. If it drops further than that, you're not allowed to live in a certain area of home. And if it drops even further than that, you'll be placed in a certain camp. And a certain brand new smartphone app is required for Uyghur Muslims going forward so they can continue to keep a watchful eye on them. Don't think that the Democrats aren't looking at that for Trump supporters. Just saying, just throwing that out there. That's just a little speculation for you. We'll wrap it up here. The China files show that Trudeau's submissive approach to China isn't just his personal obsession. It is an official policy of his entire government, and it has deeply infected China's civil service too. Trudeau's right-hand man, Ian Sugart, was tasked with silencing the CAF's legitimate concerns about China and forcing our military to continue acting as if China, not the US, was our most important ally. I am getting out of this country as soon as humanly possible. As a public service, Rebel News is publishing the documents in full in hopes that other reporters will continue to unlock the truth about how Trudeau is turning Canada away from our democratic allies and towards the world's greatest dictatorship. And greatest as in scope, not as in practice. If you're a Canadian watching this, and I've interacted with quite a few of you, please do take the time to read through some of these articles, because after this election season is over, I am focusing squarely on the CCP because I fucking find nothing redeemable about that organization of murderers. There's no nicer way to put that. They are human filth. And as an associate of them, Justin Trudeau gets even lower on my respect totem pole. It's not like he was terribly high to begin with, but we all kind of speculated, everybody who's remotely right of Stalin assumed that Trudeau had a very cozy relationship with communistic regimes. Hell, he had that glowing review of Fidel Castro when he died in, what was that, late 2016? Yeah, where he said he was a champion of social justice. Literally, unironically used that term. But like it was stated before, after the WE scandal, this was before I started my channel, but at the same time, I'll just refresh anybody's memory who is unaware of this situation. But after that was quickly swept under the carpet, it was revealed that in a poll, 40% of Canadians would still vote for Justin Trudeau. And because we run a multi-partied system, a parliamentary-style government, that would be more than enough to have at least a coalition-type government like he has right now, because Lord knows the NDP is not going to do anything to help him. But yeah, if you were to search Twitter right now for anything regarding Justin Trudeau, it would just be blind praise, because Twitter sucks a fat dick. But yeah, China's moving in to Canada. Do something about it now or face the consequences later. Wish we could end on an up note today, but yeah, the only thing that's up is Justin Trudeau's chode for Winnie the Pooh cartoons. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.